Good morning all, and thank you for the opportunity to participate in the conference today. I suppose just a quick, brief background to Board Móna. Just some key figures. We look today in Ireland. Ireland's emitting over 60 million tonnes of CO2 in Ireland. The objective is to reduce that by 51% by 2030. That's a reduction of 13 million. That's a lot of tonnes. The EPA published a report earlier on this week saying that we're likely at this stage on track just to achieve a 29% reduction. Even to achieve a 29% reduction is quite a tall order at the moment, because if we look at the climate action plan, if we look at what initiatives are in there, it will take time to get some of those initiatives up and running to deliver the benefits. So I would feel at this stage we will fall well short of our 2030 ambition. When I mentioned that 60 million, that excludes the land use and the emissions coming from land use. Land use in Ireland, if we look at, we're actually emitting over in excess of 8 million tonnes of CO2 a year. We're unlike a lot of other countries. Most countries are what we call a carbon sink. They're actually taking CO2 out of the atmosphere and putting it back into the ground. So we have a major challenge. I suppose with that challenge comes an opportunity, what we can do from a land use perspective. The reason why Ireland is a carbon source as opposed to a carbon sink is that the percentage of wetlands, peatlands we have in Ireland is up to about 20% of landscape. So we're quite unique, we're quite high, I suppose, like Scotland across the water. Second is forestry. Forestry in Ireland is quite low. We've only got about 11% of landscape from forestry. Most European countries are in excess of 20%. And the third aspect is, as we all know, we've quite a significant agricultural business here in Ireland, so we have a lot of lands dedicated for agricultural purposes. So there is quite a significant program required to move us from being a carbon source back to a break-even position initially, and then eventually to a carbon sink. I suppose on that basis, Board Móna took a decision over 3 years ago to stop peat harvesting, which was quite a big decision for our board to make. It was our core business. When we looked at what impact it would have, we know peat is a high carbon fossil fuel. And we turned the carbon lens on its head. We looked to see, okay, let's look at this differently. Because we knew what we were doing wasn't sustainable. We knew the impact it would have from carbon emissions and what we're doing from a land use perspective. To decarbonise the Irish economy, electricity is going to be the main solution to help us decarbonise it. And it's going to be electricity generated from renewable sources. Electricity from renewable sources will decarbonise generation of electricity. It will provide electricity to power our cars. It will provide new sources of energy to heat our buildings. And there are big challenges we have from a climate emissions perspective. So on that basis, we cease peat harvesting. We're now in our third year on quite a significant peatland restoration project. Over the last 2 years, we have rehabilitated almost 15,000 hectares. The scale of what we do is quite significant, not alone is it large scale from an Irish context, a European context, but from a world perspective as well. And we've shared the work we've done and the findings we've done, not alone with people here in Ireland, but also across Europe and across the world as well. So that's quite a significant project that's underway at the moment at Board Móna. Our objective is to rehabilitate about 33,000 hectares on this particular programme. We've been doing rehabilitation for the last 20 years in Board Móna. So at this stage we know what the operating model is. How do you come up with that land use change programme? Going from initial design to detailed design, getting your various consents, stakeholder engagement, putting the project into action, managing the project and delivering the results. And probably more importantly, capturing information. We've captured a huge volume of data on the work we've done to date with our GIS surveyors on the team. So we have a new team called Natural Resource Services. We have over 250 people employed on that team with a range of skill sets. And as I said, with peatland restoration, it does require a cost up front, with the benefits to come at a later stage over a long period of time. So the question, I suppose, that's being faced with us here today is how do we come up with a funding model to support that programme of work? And it's a question I was looking to see how we can get in, what source of finance. But we need to first look at, okay, what are the services we can offer? What are the benefits a land use change programme will deliver? Working out what those will be. The carbon market at the moment is quite complex, it's fragmented, there's a number of different carbon markets across the world. The voluntary carbon market has a lack of regulation here, so we do need to see that being established more on a regular basis. And as some of my previous speakers spoke about, we're looking at a blended finance mechanism here. So because there's such a big expenditure front, it will require public funding initially, and then the private finance to follow. But people should be aware that with private finance will come contracts, there will come obligations, there will be terms and conditions attached. And that's important, I suppose, that proper documentation and regulations put in place to enable that to work. One of the ways Ireland is looking at addressing these climate action budgets is for large corporates to start reporting on what their carbon footprint is. That reporting will start in 2024. Companies are very focused on the moment how they're gathering their data to work out what their carbon footprint is. And then you start to look at, okay, what is the solutions that might be available to us to address our carbon footprint. So that will be the emerging market that will come to the table. I suppose we've got to be looking and see, well, what can we put by way of services to address some of the needs of those companies. And we would see the sale of the carbon credits for offsetting purposes and biodiversity credits. A lot of focus on carbon in the last 3 or 4 years. Biodiversity is now following suit, and there will be obligations on large corporates to report from a biodiversity and what impact they have on nature. In addition, I suppose we look at land use change programs. We have to look at what do we mean by additionality. What is the land use change program? What are you doing? What's the supporting information to support it? And the permitting required. This is where we do a land use change program, but it'll have to be for a long period of time. It won't be a question of where we do a land use change program, and somebody decides 10 years down the road, oops, we'll have a rethink and we'll change what we're going to do with that plot of land. And I suppose when you look at the community perspective, we've got to be careful of that duration of time. What contract obligations may be imposed on particular projects? What is the risk of failure? Or what is your mitigation actions to avoid those risks happening? At the market itself at the moment, we're early days. This is an evolving market. We do have some unanswered questions at the moment, so we'll have to wait and see what emerges from that perspective. Like some of the questions we have is, we don't have a peatland code in Ireland at the moment. There is one in the UK. What will be the carbon registry? Currently, carbon credits are of low value. I said there is different carbon markets out there, so there is different prices. There is some regulation requirement. I think around the whole area of measurement, reporting, verification of carbon needs standards to apply. And then access to land. As we probably know, land ownership in Ireland is quite complex. It's not straightforward. It takes time to sort out where we are from a land title perspective. If we're looking at projects being put involved in private finance, the land ownership issues will have to be dealt with to ensure clear title can be put into various legal contracts. So, if we look, I suppose, at the sectors, a lot of peatlands, probably about 1.5 million hectares of peatlands in Ireland. I don't know if you know, but Móna only owns 7% of that peatland, with over 80,000 hectares. So there's lots of peatlands outside of Móna ownership. And look, we've been involved in a number of community land restoration projects, which will go through in due course. Again, back to our natural resource service team, we do have a number of expertise back within Móna. We've split up into our professional services team, and then from our operations team, and with machinery and project management. So we're very familiar with doing baseline surveys from the ecological and hydraulic perspective, designing the work program required, carrying out the risk assessments. Got to be very conscious, I suppose, of what impact we have on adjoining landowners, working through the various consents and the legal requirements, and then delivering the restoration measures. and managing regulatory requirements from a health and safety perspective. We've established a carbon team within Móna itself, so we're gathering a lot of data at the moment in respect of the change in carbon emission factors, some very interesting information. It's made with the greenhouse gas. It's quite a complex area, quite complex calculations. It's a lot more challenging than honours maths back at the teacher level. And all this, will be required to be put in place, and the whole area is considered once you put your operation model into place, you then what is the funding model, and that's where more work is required on. From a community perspective, as I mentioned, we are involved in renewable energy projects in Móna. And I suppose from a PLAN perspective, the footprint of a renewable energy project is only about 3% of the landscape. So it's quite small in the overall context. We've got to make sure from an environmental impact assessment, we've got to get it right. But on some of the renewable projects we've done, there's also community projects. The example here is wind farming. Commissioned and committed to use last year's wind farm up in County Offaly. We've got 21 kilometres of walking trails on that particular wind farm. We have a community engagement scheme as well, where some of money is paid out to the local communities on an annual basis. And that's just some of the examples there of some of the features we've put in to that wind farm. We've worked with the local communities to make sure we understand what their vision for the area is, and then to capture that within the footprint of the landfill. The wind farm, again, we've got the 21 kilometres of trails, and in addition we've got a sensory garden, outdoor exercise equipment, attractive signage display, which incorporates the history of Plant Green Bog, including interviews with retired board one employees. And look, we know, I suppose, what turf means to the Irish people, what it has been from a culture and heritage perspective. And it is important, I suppose, to remember the role people played in Ireland. So it's important to capture that and tell those stories to the next generations. We have a number of, I suppose, projects that we've in place with communities from a restoration perspective. Just to give you some of the examples, is the Livermore Discovery Park, where we've used some cutaway and woodland for the development of boardwalks for immunity and education. There is a new boardwalk extension that will be opened later on in 23 that was funded from the Just Transition Funds. We've got the Killarney Header Trail, we've got the Ballydang Red Grass Project within our community, and I suppose, as you're all probably aware, we've got the lease arrangement here, the Lease project on the lands adjoining the hotel here, that you'll do a walk on later on this afternoon. From a rehabilitation perspective, an example here is up in Coralee, on our bonds up in Magdalen in County Longford. You can see where we've done a rewetting programme here. We've also, I suppose, put in amenity facilities with the local community so they can enjoy the rewetted and the rewilded place. We are aware, I suppose, of the opportunities that we will bring to the local communities, and ensure, I suppose, that there is a win-win from board perspectives. As we have developed our various rehabilitation projects, we have quite an extensive stakeholder engagement process that's in place with the local communities in each locality. I suppose it's worth pointing out, we want to rewet and rewild, and it's important, I suppose, from a biodiversity perspective. There will be parts of the areas that will be rewetted that will not be available, I suppose, for public use. It's important, I suppose, that we give nature its respect, and there's no disturbance in those areas. So some will be sensitive from a biodiversity perspective. But one advantage that we have in Móna is that a lot of our rail land is built on the edge of the bog. And we've also got lands, I suppose, where we're connecting one bog to the next. So we're looking to put in a number of greenways to enable local communities to avail of the peatlands, but that will be probably at the edge of the bog as opposed to taking us into the middle of the bog. Again, just another example is the Lismany Bog Remnant, 15 hectare site. Again, we're working with the Northern Stand Community Enterprise on that particular plot of land. We're looking at looking at a rewriting proposal there and seeing what maybe the alternative finance options are. So I suppose just to summarise, from a community perspective, Board of Móna, we are willing to listen to local communities, to look at peatland restoration projects on a small scale basis. We do have, as I said, some unanswered questions at the moment, so we need to be conscious of, if private finance is to come into these projects, what will their requirements be? What will be the obligations on the various contracts? What will be the finance obligations? So they need to be known before we're in a position supposed to finalise budgets with local communities. I suppose from a community perspective as well, there has got to be a level of governance in perspective as to how they want to manage potential liabilities, the insurance exposure, the ongoing maintenance in respect of those lands. Again, in Board of Móna's lands, we are on a repeal licence, which obviously brings obligations upon us as a landowner. And look, from a land use policy perspective, we've got to look and see what are the co-benefits we can get from renewable energy perspective, amenities, biodiversity, and the rewetting to the Ireland's climate actions and biodiversity targets. So there's a lot happening in this space at the moment. It's evolving. It will probably take another 18 to 24 months for some of the unanswered questions to find those answers. But I suppose in summary, there is a great opportunity on peatland restoration in Ireland, and it's an exciting place to see what will emerge in this over the next 10 to 20 years. Thank you.